Spicebomb Extreme is no doubt a phenomenal winter fragrance. It has many things going for it. The main thing is that it ticks quite a lot of boxes, but it never overwhelms itself. The original Spicebomb in 2013 was a mega unexpected hit, and I truly mean that. Nobody was expecting a massive game-changing hit from the house of Viktor and Rolf, who hadn't actually done that many great fragrances. They'd had one successful fragrance called Antidote, which was a little bit pretentiously named because it claimed to be the antidote to mainstream fragrances. It wasn't. Spicebomb was. It was quite game-changing. It was a fresh, new DNA that the consumer could really sink their teeth into. But interestingly, as it became so successful, you had fragrance releases like Spicebomb Night Vision, which was trying to capitalise on the original success of Spicebomb, and newer, more modern fragrances like Invictus. Ironically, Viktor and Rolf had become the very thing that they were trying to fight against: mainstream. And interestingly, the fragrance Antidote was discontinued. The original Spicebomb did not work for me, as I stated. I think the main reason why is because I just found it a little peculiar that notes were listed such as ginger and cinnamon, which I thought was going to be a very warming experience. But I didn't find it to be that. In fact, I found it very cold and cutting. The one word I could use to describe it, actually, overall, the original Spicebomb, was caustic, like a knife's edge. Spicebomb Extreme, however, radically solved that with actually a very, very simple solution by adding winter time favourite notes, tobacco and vanilla, now seen as a classic combination. This update sort of gave a warm, nice, Christmassy blanket and put it on top of the original DNA. And that's really what works for me. So it does. It works for me, but will it work for you? So would you like Spicebomb Extreme? Well, what does it take for you to like something like this? First thing is this: you've got to like spicy notes such as ginger, cinnamon and nutmeg. That is really required for you to enjoy this because it is a spicy, heavy fragrance. If you know what you're getting yourself into, if you've smelt niche fragrances such as Tobacco Vanille, Herod, Royal Oud, well, actually, to be honest, anything that Tom Ford's done in the past 10 years, if I'm completely honest. Notice that I'm saying a lot of niche fragrances here, which is a high compliment for this fragrance, because it does have a higher bar in quality and composition. It's a very well thought out fragrance. You could easily put this at a much higher price point and nobody really would flinch. But the main thing here is this: if you love this time of year, if you love autumn and winter and all of the smells associated with it, pumpkin spice, Christmas pudding, chocolate logs, all that sort of thing, if you really enjoy that, then this is something that you're going to definitely get something out of. And as an added bonus, if you want something that smells wearable, mainstream, because trust me, this doesn't just smell as though you've just thrown cinnamon powder all over yourself. It does have a streamlined element to it that makes it smell more just like a good solid fragrance. If you want something that has that but is also incredibly unique, which this is, then you've definitely got to go for it. Jeremy recently put this as his #1 winter fragrance. That's a lot of hype that's going to be following this fragrance. Does it deserve it? The short answer is yes. The infamous presentation of Spicebomb, and now even with Spicebomb Extreme. I mean, in one way, it's completely accurate. It is a grenade, it is a bomb of spice. But I think it works a little bit more with the original than it does here, the grenade design. So in my head, I've got images of, a roaring fire, beautiful living room with candles and things like that, and then you see an image of a grenade. But of course, they're not going to change the design. Why would they? So what they did was they made it black and an orangey tint of gold. And it's great. It looks fantastic. It's an iconic design, a unique design. And although it doesn't have the most accurate connotations for me with this smell, it's a great design. And so I'm happy to give the presentation a 5 out of 5. It looks really cool, and look, it does this as well. It's like one of those things that you get like at a soccer game, a football game. I said soccer to make the Americans happy. It's not called soccer, it's football, isn't it? It's kicking a... It's not like your football. Let's not start this. Come on, let's talk about the scent. So, what does Spicebomb Extreme smell of? Well, let me counter that with a question for you. Have you ever heard of the famous German fairy tale Hansel and Gretel, written by the Brothers Grimm? If you haven't, the story is of two children who get lost in a great forest and then suddenly come across a house built out of gingerbread, cakes and pastries. That on the nose is what this smells like. In the opening, it's actually quite overwhelming. You do have all of the gingerbread, nutmeg, spicy cinnamon elements, with also some spicy tobacco. This is quite a bit much, and it actually gives me a sort of a burnt kind of smell. But I wouldn't say it's unpleasant, and I think that my brain is forgiving of that because I'm aware that notes like cinnamon and ginger are already very strong no matter what you can do. Like I said, not exactly unpleasant. But the dry down after 5-10 minutes is where this really, really starts to pick up and becomes an incredible fragrance with the addition of lavender and vanilla, which is a stroke of perfumery brilliance. Think of it this way. You've got the gingerbread house, and the lavender is the foundations of the house, and the vanilla is the insulation that keeps everything warm and stable. That is absolutely gorgeous, and when you wear this you will smell delicious, warm, inviting, cozy and Christmassy. And that's sort of the whole story, but as it dries down even more, you get that original Spicebomb DNA, but it's really, really been warmed up. It's as though it's had a sort of warm tint over it, a very, very autumnal orange warm tint over it, and that's a really, really pleasant dry down. Suffice it to say, this is a fantastic, fantastic fragrance. Yes, there's a lot of spices, but with a lot of brilliant perfumery balance and thought put into it, it doesn't smell as though you've just been rolling around in a Victorian larder. Although there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that actually sounds kind of fun. If you are looking for something that is going to encapsulate this time of year for you, the winter period, the Christmas period, the festive period, this is definitely something that you should investigate. Scent, 5 out of 5. Projection longevity on my skin is just solid 4 out of 5 overall performance. I think that with notes such as vanilla and cinnamon and tobacco, there's not really anything to be afraid of. Those, whether reformulation or not, those are very, very heavy notes that will consistently last. When I wake up the day after I wear this, I can still smell it faintly, but it's not over the top. But that's fine, it'll get you a whole night, so not to worry. And for nights out and events and things such as that, again, this is going to be absolutely fine. Overall, as I've said, if you enjoy this time of year and you enjoy the smells and the conventional scents that come along with this time of year, this is something that you should definitely look out for. It's definitely worth the hype, as they say, but be specific about it. If you don't like really spicy fragrances, if you don't like gourmands, this is not going to work for you. If you don't like fragrances that have a good solid amount of sweetness, this is not going to work for you, unfortunately. Test it out. But as far as I'm concerned, it's fabulous, it's fantastic, and a really, really surprisingly unique and interesting designer fragrance. Maybe Viktor and Rolf did sort of stick to their roots. They certainly did more with this than they did with Night Vision. This is an antidote to mainstream fragrances that can get a little bit boring. Overall, a 5 out of 5.